She's dreaming. They won it by 4 in the end.
American Anthem has taken off. American Anthem easily in the Woody Stevens.
Hi everybody and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by WinStar Farm. I'm Dan Illman along with Nicole Russo, and let's take a look at the field for Saturday's Spa Baby race. It's the Grade 2 Adirondack Stakes, race number 4. $200,000 is the purse. We're going 6.5 furlongs for 2-year-old fillies, and as you see, the number 3, Sly Roxy, is by WinStar stallion Speightstown. A pretty evenly matched field, Nicole. Todd Pletcher has a couple in here. It really looks like a fun race.
Yeah, I definitely do think evenly matched is the right word. There are some fillies who have shown some real talent, but there are some questions. A lot of them are shipping in. I think experience over the track this meet is important. That's what we're hearing from some horsemen. So I think adding those questions to the mix makes this a really evenly matched and puzzle of a race.
The number 1, Pure Silver, has not been headed from 2 lifetime starts at Belmont for Todd Pletcher. This is a New York bred, and we're going to take a look at her most recent start. Her second start, her first race against winners, and she's been on the lead throughout. She's taken a little bit of heat from this odds-on favorite, the number 4, I Still Miss You, and Pure Silver, to her credit, digs down deep to win this race. Now, she's going to be taking a big step up against open foes, but she's by Mission Impassable, who is really emerging as a nice stallion with his 2-year-olds in New York.
Well, I agree. The Son of Unbridled Song has really been a nice fit in this market. He was New York's leading freshman sire last year. He's leading the juvenile ranks now. His runners are competing well in open company, and I do think that Pure Silver belongs as she steps up. As you said, very fast filly. She's never been headed. Her Beyer speed figure of 78 in the Lynbrook is actually the top figure in this field, so she certainly looks as though she belongs. Of Pletcher's 2 in here, she's the one Johnny Velasquez wound up on. They've drawn inside. It's an ideal spot for her to work out that trip that she likes.
And we have a Todd Pletcher formulator fact. It's got to be a positive one because it's Todd over the past 3 years with 2-year-old last out winners in graded stake dirt sprints at Saratoga. He's won 5 of 15 with almost a $3 return on investment. Now, she bobbled a little bit coming out of the gate in the Lynbrook. It was a short field. She righted herself quickly and was able to make the front, but she can't afford any missteps breaking against this tougher field because there is a good amount of speed in the race beside Pure Silver. 2-1 on the morning line. I think she's a logical contender, but I wouldn't want to go too short at post time on the board. The number 2 is Stainless. This is the other Pletcher train runner. And let's go back to Gulfstream Park on May the 29th for Stainless's career debut. And she's a little gray filly by Flatter, but she really came and got this horse on the lead. It was a good, solid performance, and she acted up really badly behind the gate before the Schuylerville, but she does have a race over the track.
Yeah, she does. She was a well-beaten third, about 13 lengths back in the Schuylerville, but it wasn't a bad race by any means. And, she should have some speed. Her sire Flatter is another one of those AP Indy sons who seems to be able to sire a sprinter, even though that's a line more associated with stamina. He's the sire of Grade 1 winner Taurus, the good performer Kobe's back, and definite class in this family. Stainless's dam is out of a half-sister to champion juvenile filly Countess Diana. Of the Pletcher fillies, this is the one who might offer some value, and I think she's certainly classy enough to take a step forward.
8-1 on the morning line for the number 2 Stainless. Hopefully she'll behave herself a little bit better behind the gate than she did before the Schuylerville Stakes. But if the pace is fast, I wouldn't be surprised at all if she comes running late. The number 3 is Sly Roxy, 5-2 on the morning line. This one is by WinStar stallion Speightstown. And Sly Roxy has that all-important race over the track that you referenced. A really good performance for trainer Mark Cassie.
Yeah, she was a 5.5 length debut winner under Javier Castellano, who rides back, earned a 76 Beyer, which is the second best in the field in that debut. And as we mentioned, the win here at the track is so important. The track this meet, it's pretty deep. I think horses seem to either love it or hate it, and having that foundation is very important. She is adding another furlong. I think that's the question with her, stretching out a little bit to this distance.
She might try to sit just off of the number 1 Pure Silver in the early portion of this race and take her shot at Pure Silver on the turn. A $195,000 buyback earlier this year. Her dam was a really nice horse, Roxy Gap. She was a really good one in Canada, graded stakes winner, sprinting on a synthetic surface. I believe she was even a champion in Canada. The number 4 is Di Maria. Let's talk a little bit about Di Maria's young stallion, Datalink. You think about Datalink, you think turf, but this filly's done some good things, albeit in slow time on the main track.
Well, certainly, she is running on dirt. I don't think it's not necessarily the first thing you would think of with Data Links. He was a Grade 1 winning turf horse, but I don't think it's that surprising. Data Link is by Warfront, who of course is known internationally as a very good juvenile sire, very good turf sire, but Warfront did do all of his work on the dirt, so there's definitely dirt ability in the family, even if it's not the first thing you think of. This filly won her debut on the dirt, but has been beaten in 2 listed stakes since. I think she'd have to take a huge step forward here.
Certainly from the Beyer speed figure scale. We'll take a look at her most recent start. That was on July the 1st at Gulfstream Park in the Brave Raj Stakes, and she tries to take the long way around with a long, wide bid. She's a little bit too little, too late. Distance should be her friend in this spot, but as you see, she's still very green. She's hanging on her left lead all the way down to the wire. She's 20-1 on the morning line, but I'm looking forward to maybe seeing this one on the turf down the road. Of course, she has Data Link in her pedigree. The dam's a half-sister to a Grade 3 turf stakes winner named Darien, so maybe Di Maria's future ultimately will lie on the turf. The 5 is Proportionality, one of 2 for this barn and these connections. Proportionality only earned a 50 Beyer speed figure in her career debut. We're going to take a look at that race right now at Laurel, but I thought she looked pretty good doing it. She was up close to the pace and very professional.
Yeah, she did. And as you mentioned, Horatio De Paz is having a huge meet with his 2-year-olds here for Sagamore Farm. This filly is by Discreet Cat, whose best runners in the U.S. are the turf Grade 1 winner Discreet Mark, who did have a good turn of foot when it suited her, and the 2-time Carter winner Dad's Caps. This one, Proportionality, is from the female family of Paula's Silver Lining and Dad's Caps, so she's bred on a very similar cross.
Yeah, a really strong sprint pedigree, to be sure. Paula's Silver Lining, arguably the current leader in the filly and mare sprint division. You mentioned Dad's Caps, 2-time winner of the Grade 1 Carter, has that Discreet Cat cross. I wouldn't be surprised if this horse improves quite a bit second time out in the Adirondack Stakes. The number 6 is Limited View, and we have Limited View's debut effort also at Laurel. She earned a good 68 Beyer speed figure. She was bet hard, despite the fact that she was only a $5,200 yearling purchase. Let's talk a little bit about her young stallion, Freedom Child.
Yeah, this is the first crop for Freedom Child, who's standing in Maryland. Freedom Child is the son of Malibu Moon. And this one, I really want you to pay attention to the weather on Saturday in regards to, as we're filming this, Dan, there's some wet weather moving into the Saratoga area on Friday. If that lingers into Saturday, this one should handle the wet track. Freedom Child relished a wet track. Malibu Moon is a good wet track sire. Of course, you'll remember horses like Orb, and certainly coming from this sire line, she should handle going longer as she stretches out from 5 furlongs on debut at Laurel to 6.5 here.
And the Salzmans have historically done pretty well with bargain basement purchases as sprinters. We all remember Extra Heat, who was a fantastic sprinter in her day. The number 7, Wall of Compassion, acts like she wouldn't mind a wet track either. She won her career debut by a nose. It was a really gritty performance. And yet another runner for this young stallion, Jimmy Creed, who has just come out firing with his first crop.
Yeah, he really has. He's a nice young horse, a fast young horse from a stallion's pedigree. He's currently sitting 3rd both on the freshman earnings and freshman winners list. Those winners for him already include Grade 2 Sorrento winner Spectator and a couple of other stakes placed runners. He's really turned into a nice horse. And some more speed on the bottom of the pedigree as well, as Wall of Compassion is a half to a couple of stakes horses, including the dam of multiple Grade 1 winner Carolina.
This is a really sneaky, nice pedigree, and Rudy Rodriguez historically does very well with debut winners in their second lifetime start. Here's the formulator fact we have for the 7, Wall of Compassion. Over the past 5 years, with 2-year-old debut winners returning in their second start in dirt sprints, he's won 40% with a $3.40 return on investment. The number 8 is Southampton Way, the second of the Sagamore uncoupled entry. I prefer this one of the 2 Sagamores, although I will readily admit that Proportionality can certainly improve. This horse has that win that you're talking about at Saratoga. She really improved from start 1 to 2, but maybe a wet track would not work to her favor.
No, I don't think so much. Some of the horses in this family have definitely done their best work on faster tracks, although there is some turf in the female family, which sometimes that turf breeding can translate a little bit into wet track ability. But yeah, I do prefer this one to the other Sagamore runner because of that win over the track. She earned a 71 buyer, which stacks up nicely in this field. Going back to that pedigree, Into Mischief was last year's leading juvenile sire. And this one is half due stakes winner Tell a Great Story, the turf grade 2 place to Give No Quarter, and the turf stakes place to All I Care About.
I think she can work out a really nice trip from this outside post position. If Ricardo Santana Jr. breaks alertly with the 8 Southampton Way, maybe she works out a nice 3-wide tracking trip, clear of any kickback and traffic troubles. Okay, top pick time. It's a really tough race, the grade 2 Adirondack.
It really is, especially because, as we mentioned, we're shooting this a day in advance of the race, talking about this race. We kind of don't know how the tote is going to shake out, what the weather is going to look like. I am interested in Stainless, the quote-unquote other Pletcher filly, to see if we can get a price on her. As we mentioned, there's a lot of speed in the race, and including her stablemate just inside there, Pure Silver. There's a lot of class in this family. She ran well over the track in the Schuylerville. I think she could certainly take a step forward here, and she really might come running if there is some speed in front of her. I also am very interested in Limited View. As I mentioned, the stretch out in distance should really work nicely for her, and if we do get the wet weather that's potentially expected on Saturday, I think she'll relish the slop. So I think this is a race where you definitely want to look and evaluate your options up to post time.
This race kicks off a daily double and a pick 3. I'll be playing it that way. I'd probably have to go 3 deep in any sort of multiple race wager. I guess in order of preference, it'd be the 1 Pure Silver undefeated, hasn't been headed, and is sure to show speed from the inside for Todd Pletcher. The number 3 Sly Roxy by the WinStar stallion Speightstown, I think will be right up close to Pure Silver, hopefully avoiding a duel, and she at least handled a wet track first time out. Javier Castellano rides that one, and the 8th Southampton Way, who I also think will be forwardly placed on the outside. We'll see how she handles a wet track. Again, the Adirondack is really a fun race. Approximate post time is 2:44, and Nicole and I will be back a little bit later with Sunday's Spa Baby race. It's the Saratoga Special, and our coverage is presented by WinStar.